Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining us. I think today the mood is very, pumped up. Today is Mother's Day, and we're very happy to just have an opportunity to have this session on such a great day. Yeah. Today we are your hosts. My name is Martha Inyuma,
and I'm Sam Chalo.
Yes. So we are live on all our social media handles at TSAVO.ke on YouTube and Facebook. But without further ado, let's start with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, we want to say thank you for everything that you've done, oh Lord. Thank you for giving us yet another beautiful opportunity, oh my Father, to be able to learn from each other and impact the lives of your children, oh Lord. How I pray that we may be able to create a tribe that will change people's lives, in Kenya and around the world, oh Lord. We bless you, we honor you, oh my Father. As we start this session, how I pray that you may walk with us, that you may guide us, that you may increase our wisdom and understanding, oh Lord, and that you may increase in us as we decrease in ourselves, oh my Father. How I pray that we may be able to learn more, to debate more, to get understanding, oh my Father. And above all, oh Lord, how I pray that we may be able to apply each and everything that we learn from here in our lives and to glorify your name by that. It is in the mighty name of Jesus Christ I do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Yes, karibu sana. I've just seen. Imeanguka. That's it.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so today we are very excited. We hope that we'll be able to have a very interactive session. Yeah. For those who are new here, maybe you can just tell us.
So if you're new here, please tell us who invited you here today. Yeah, we'd like to know who is spreading the fire out there.
Yes.
Yeah, and also, if you're a member, please tell us where you're watching us from so that you can be able to engage and interact more as the session goes on.
I can see people have not started yet commenting. Please share your comments on the comment section.
Drop the fire emoji.
Yes. Let us know you're on fire. Yes, I can see people have joined in. Please let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know who has invited you here today, or how did you get to know about this. And how has your Mother's Day been?
Yes.
I think that's important.
Yeah, it's a very special day.
Yes.
It's a very special day for it to be Mother's Day today. And we'd like to appreciate all mothers out there and probably starting with the Savorite mothers out here. You can just mention them. And
I think today we appreciate all moms out there, all moms to be, and all fathers who've enabled, moms out there to flourish, I think. But to just bring this closer home, we want to celebrate our mothers today. And we'll start with our very own Emily Mcharo. She has been a mother to her 2 sons and a mother to the whole of TSAVO. Manze, we celebrate you. We have Jackie. So for those who know TSAVO deeply, you know where Jackie is. Jackie is the CBK. So head of finance. Thank you so much for being a mother to us, for sharing the love you have for your children, even with us. We have Velma. Velma is if you know Velma, you know her love for her children is undebatable. Like if there's someone who loves children is Velma, and we celebrate you today.
There is also Donna. This alikuwa anaitwa Kamware lakini sasa she's no longer Kamware. amekuwa she's now a mom. And also Rebecca. And also there is Joanne as well.
Yes. So thank you so much. I think just being able to have someone who loves you unconditionally is not guaranteed. Like your mom loves you unconditionally. And just recognizing the efforts that moms have in our lives and the values that they bring to us, as in it's unmatched. And please feel celebrated, feel encouraged. It's a beautiful place to be, I believe.
Yes, it is. And also regarding the mothers, I was just thinking about what I'd say about that, and this one quote that I do remember that I think it says, "We love people whom we help more than we love those who help us." So what this means in this situation is that we can't love our mothers more than they do love us.
Yes.
As much as you think you love your mother, she loves you more than that. So because from the womb till where you are at today, I think that love is so unconditional.
Yes, that love is so unconditional.
And then we'd like to thank all mothers out there for bringing life into this
Yes,
world.
yes. I think when I think of a mother, I think of home. That's where home lies. And there's something I read. Mothers are the heartbeats in the home. Yeah, and without them, there seems to be no heart throb. A mother is where home resides.
That's
so I can see very many comments coming in. I can see Brian. He's on fire. I can see Sam is on fire. I can see Kevin Agai is on fire. Please let us know where you're watching us from. Yes.
And
if
drop the fire emoji if you're watching.
If you're new here, let us know who has invited you. I think today we have a very exciting session ahead.
I'd like to see how today's session will go. And I think it will be quite exciting to see what we will all learn from this session as well. If you're new here, I'd just like to give you the definition of what council is, and what it's all about. So a council basically is just a place where people come to debate and dialogue in search of understanding and guided by a purpose. So our main purpose here is to accelerate each other's journey to financial independence. So if you're here, we hope that this thing, in whatever way, today's session, in whatever way, will be able to accelerate your journey to financial independence. So we've been trying out so many things, and today we ended up reading a book. Today we'll be reading a book. And it was just a suggestion from how last week's session went down, and we'd like to see how that goes. So today we'll be reading a book, and the book is As a Man Thinketh. So the book was suggested in one of our councils in the group by, I think it's last Uka in our WhatsApp group, and it was like, okay, why not read this book? It's quite a brief book, and I think we'll just be reading it live. So we hope that you will be able to get something out of this, and also debate and dialogue and see where this can take us to.
And I think just taking this step is an encouragement, because when we started, and one of the first sessions we were discussing, how do we accelerate anyone in the fire tribe, their financial independence journey, and we defined tools that can help someone accelerate their own journey. And one of the tools were books. So today we are doing something that we actually stated as a strategy to enable people just accelerate their journey towards financial independence. And of course, books, when you look at the analogy behind just writing books, this is someone who has really been able to think through experience and now at the very end actualize something that you can use to guide your life. And so I hope today will be quite impactful. For those who are new, we have a Telegram. I think we've even shared the link. We have a Telegram group. We have a WhatsApp group where we just prep for this the session. And today we had asked one of you to actually join us in the live session. And we are very glad we have someone on board who will be able to guide us through and just discuss live on this book. Before we go further, I can see that very many people who are still commenting. Thank you so much for joining. I can see Isaac Kilemi, he's on fire, and he's saying, happy Mother's Day to all Savorite mothers and to the mother of my two amazing daughters. Wow, Karimu Sanai.
What's her name?
Yes, what's her name? I can see Amo saying thank you, she's on fire. I love you more. Thank you so much, Amo. I can see Ashley is also on fire.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ashley.
So much. Yes.
So if you're new, or if you're part of the members as well, if you haven't joined the group, please join. And if you're here watching us, please drop the fire emoji. Tell us where you're watching us from, and also what you'd like to learn from today's session as you're reading this book. So I think without further ado, you can welcome who will be joining us in today's session.
Yes, so today we'll have one of our Savorites, Ted Mayo. He'll be joining us. I think you can see him on the screen. So Ted Mayo will take us through chapter 1 of the book. As Sam had mentioned, we are doing it live.
Yes. So how are you, Ted?
So hello, how are you guys?
We are fine. How are you?
Yeah, glad to be here today. I hope that this this new direction that we're taking will be quite informative for all, and it will be
Yeah.
able to
Too.
propel us towards higher in the long run. Right?
Yeah, Martha can probably
Yeah.
introduce who you are and or you can introduce yourself, who you
Yes.
are and what you do at TSAVO. Yeah.
So, my name is Ted Mayo. I'm an architect by profession, but in TSAVO, I'm what we call a master builder. So, master builders are basically guys who take an end-to-end approach in terms of building the project. So, I am the guy you will find on site, trying to make sure that all our projects are running and we are able to deliver for our investors on time. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I think without further ado, you can go ahead and read. So if you've just joined, please drop the fire emoji. Yeah, as Ted now will be reading the book for us. Just before we go on, Isaac is saying the mother of his daughters is
And Caroline Kirote.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Isaac. I can see Antaro has also joined us. She's on fire. Thank you so much, Anne.
Yeah.
I hope we'll be able to discuss, and just dialogue further as we dig deep into the book.
Yes. So Ted, take it away.
Okay, so for my part, I chose to read the first chapter of As a Man Thinketh because I think it's a very powerful book. And yeah, let's get to it. So the first chapter is thought and character. And
You can probably start with the forward.
So let's go back to the forward. They talk about this little volume, the result of meditation and experience, is not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the much written upon subject of the power of thought. It is suggestive rather than explanatory, its object being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are the maker of themselves. By virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage, that mind is the master weaver, both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, and that, as they may have hitherto woven in ignorance and pain, they may now weave in enlightenment and happiness. James Allen.
Awesome.
So I think what we're talking about is ideally the end goal of you as a person is your thought as a person. So you are the end. You are what you make yourself to be. And so the first chapter of the book talks about thought and character, and I'll get to it. So the aphorism, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he," not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of his life. A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. So as the plant springs and could not be without the seed, so every act of a man springs from the hidden seeds of thought and could not have appeared without them. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous and unpremeditated, as to those which are deliberately executed. Act is the blossom of thought, and joy and suffering are its fruits. Thus does a man garner in the sweet and bitter fruitage of his own husbandry. Thought in the mind hath made us what we are. By thought was wrought and built. If a man's mind hath evil thoughts, pain come on him as comes the will the ox behind. If one endure in purity of thought, joy follows him, and his own shadow sure. A man is a growth by law, and not a creation by artifice, and cause and effect as absolute and undeviating in the hidden realm of thought as in the world of visible and material things. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the natural result of continued effort in right thinking. The effect of long cherished association with godlike thoughts, an ignoble and bestial character by the same process is the result of continued harboring of groveling thoughts. So a man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapon by which he destroys himself. He also fashioned the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Between these two extremes are all the grades of character, and man is their maker and master. Of all the beautiful truths pertaining to the soul, which have been restored and brought to light in this age, none is more gladdening or fruitful of the divine promise and confidence than this, that man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. As a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the lord of his own thoughts, man holds the key to every situation and contains within himself the transforming and regenerative agency by which he may make himself what he wills. Man is always the master, even in his weaker and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is the foolish master, whom governs his household. When he begins to reflect upon his condition and to search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, he then becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Such is the conscious master, and man can only thus become by discovering within himself the laws of thought, which discovery is totally a matter of application, self-analysis, and experience. Only by much searching and mining are gold and diamond obtained, and man can find every truth connected with his being if he will dig deep into the mine of his soul, and that he is the maker of his character, the molder of his life, and the builder of his destiny. He may unerringly provide if he will watch, control, and alter his thoughts, tracing the effects upon himself, upon others, and upon his life and circumstances, linking cause and effect by patient practice and investigation, and utilizing his every experience, even to the most trivial everyday occurrence, as the means of obtaining that knowledge of himself which is understanding, wisdom, power. In this direction, as in no other, is the law absolute that he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. For only by patience, practice, and ceaseless importunity can a man enter the door of the temple of knowledge.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for reading that for us, Ted. Probably you can tell us what do you derive from this brief chapter as the introduction of the book. What do you understand? Hello, Ted, are you there? I'm not sure if you can hear us.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asking, what do you derive from this first chapter? Yeah.
From this. Yeah. So,
Yes.
from my understanding of the chapter, they liken a man's mind to, let's say, a garden. That whether you decide to plant it or ignore it, something will grow out of it, and your own effort is what directs what will grow on this patch of ground.
Yes.
So this garden, this patch of land. So
Yes.
what they talk about is you need to culture your own thoughts towards a direction that you wish yourself to be in the long run. So if you culture good thoughts, they will translate to good habits and they will translate to good actions. But if you neglect your own thoughts and always be focusing on negative thoughts and all that, you will find yourself trying to tend towards negative actions, and it will be detrimental in the long run to your own performance and life. So
Yes.
they talk about you who is the person who you wish to be. You need to be able to culture your own thoughts in a direction that you need to go. So in a way that it relates to the fire council and what we're trying to do here. I think you need to be able to culture yourself towards being financially independent. So you need to be able to cultivate thoughts that help you in the long run to be able to get these very small habits that will propel you towards financial independence. So if it is trying to be to create a saving culture, if it's trying to create a budgeting culture, if it's trying to create just an outlook in life that you are looking for various ways in order to let's say invest in very many things. There's a lot of things to invest in. So just trying to create that mindset that you're trying to pay your future self rather than your present self. So you're not spending for today, but you're spending for tomorrow. So you need to be able to cultivate that within your mind so that you can be able to reap the benefits of that in the long run.
Yes.
Taking it back to the garden, if you plant poor seeds, the harvest will be poor. But if you plant very good seeds, you cultivate that land every single day, you weed it, you water it, you put in the right fertilizer, in the long run you'll have a very good produce. So if you avoid cultivating yourself and your mind, in the long run you will find that you are the one who in the end will be, what can I say, you will be disadvantaged in the end. So at in the grand scheme of things, the thoughts of your mind are all that will make you to be who you are and who you wish to become. Yeah.
Okay. I think, thank you so much, Ted. You've been able to capture, a lot that comes from the chapter you've read. And I can see comments coming in. Please feel free to share, what are your sentiments
about what
we've just read.
Yeah,
chapter
and probably
1.
just stick around. As we read through the book, we might need to discuss
a few more. Yes. So let me read a few comments. I can see Lastuka. Thank you so much. Lastuka is actually the one who suggested the book.
Yes.
I hope this is impactful. I can see he's on Facebook. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Please share your sentiments, especially being the person who suggested the book. What are your thoughts regarding, especially chapter 1, what we've captured? I can see on YouTube, Timmy, man is always the master, even in his weakest and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is the foolish master who misgoverns his household. This stood out for me. Thank you so much, Timmy.
For sharing
yes,
that,
that was captured in chapter 1, and that's very powerful because we are the creators of our own reality. In all honesty, I can see Isaac saying, "Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself."
Yes.
And in a good way, we create the tools, or we fashion the tools that create us. Hey, this thing. Then I can see it's all in the mind, success or failure.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
Isaac.
yes,
I think for me, what stood out was, man is thoughts seen in his own actions. Like that is who man is. So whether these are deliberate or spontaneous actions, all actions are influenced by thoughts. And so how do we intentionally cultivate good thoughts, or thoughts that, if for example you're thinking of financial independence, good thoughts that will eventually lead you towards financial independence. Because if you have good thoughts, then then you get a fulfilling or fruitful results, and you can, and once you've used and applied that correctly, then you are in the lead towards financial independence. And man is built and destroyed by self. So focus on self beyond the circumstance and beyond the situation. How do you focus on self to ensure that you're building yourself into something that you want to see in the world?
I can let me just read last Uka's comment here. He's saying Teddy is on point. We need to be very much awake on what we plant in our minds. So I think looking at the mind as a garden, that analogy is quite interesting. And just whatever you think about comes to be. So if I think this also comes to the notion of optimism and optimism and pessimism. I think you'd find most optimistic people usually have a good time in life, so to say, in for lack of better words, and whatever you plant is whatever you get. And for me, the things that stood out, but before I can read what stood out for me, I can see Timmy is mentioning, Alan quotes Matthew 7:7. If you seek within, you will find yourself. True, very true. And I think throughout the whole book, he gets to mention some quotes from the Bible, probably not even mentioning the verses themselves, but also just saying them. I think if you're very conversant with it, you will get what he's trying to say. Like in the last sentence, it says, "He that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened." I think that is also from the Bible as well. And for me, let me just mention from this chapter, what stood out for me was a man is literally what he thinks. His character being the complete sum of his thoughts. So however you'd want to define somebody, let's say Martha, we define Martha as such and such a person. All that started in the head. Yeah, all that started, she cultivated it herself before it came to be for us to see. Yeah, so I think that is one of that is just like the baseline of all this. And then man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. I think those are very key, just showing you what is in your circle of control. Circle of influence, because you see, whatever is in your circle of influence, if you can influence your character, your condition, environment, and destiny, I think this just opens a big place of imagination and also what you can do with your life as well.
And it actually even expands your circle of influence, because most of us, and unfortunately most circumstances that we are in, unfortunately in our circle of concern, in a place where we cannot really fully control what actually happens. But how do you focus around yourself? Focus on yourself, focus on your thoughts, focus within your circle of influence, which then expands your circle of influence. And therefore your circle of concern becomes smaller and smaller.
Yes. You can read Anne's comment.
I've seen Anne coming in. Thank you so much, Anne, for sharing. Many people believe that thoughts are silent. However, they can clearly be seen in your actions and habits. Whatever your thoughts are, manifest in your actions. That's very true. Thank you so much, Anne.
These people think they'd want to read people's mind, but whatever they are, they have thought it before it becomes. So I think just as the first chapter, being able to tell us the base is whoever you are, it all started in your head. It's a seed that first you cultivated yourself. You, like us being here in this live stream, we cultivated it way long ago, before we came here. And us reading this book, and just wherever we are headed with this live stream, whatever with this council, whatever we'll be able to do, you'd find it started in somebody's head. Like us reading this book, that was last Uka's suggestion, and I think it's quite interesting to see all of us and what you're learning from the book itself. And Ted, thank you so much for sharing us with that first chapter. Anything you want to say as we move to the next bit of it?
For me, just maybe the closing remark will be the very famous saying that mind over matter. At the end of the day, it's your mind that decides what your body can be able to handle and go through. So your mind is king in all the things in the world.
True.
True.
Please stick around.
Thank you so much. Yes.
So please stick around as I read the second chapter. Probably we'll be able to discuss and share whatever is there. So let me just start. So for the second chapter, it's all about just a minute, the effect of thought on circumstances. So I hope you guys can be able to see it on your screen. So a man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce. So if you plant or if you don't plant, something will happen. You will bring forth. So just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which he requires, so may a man tend to the garden of his mind. Out of all the wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, and cultivating toward perfection the flowers and fruits of right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life. He also reveals within himself the laws of thought and understands with ever increasing accuracy how thought forces and mind elements operate in the shaping of his character, circumstances, and destiny. So it's just getting to understand how the power of our thoughts in our life. So thought and character are one. And as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to his inner state. Yeah. This does not mean that a man's circumstances at any given time are an indication of his entire character. So just a disclaimer, but that those circumstances are so intimately connected with some vital thought element within himself that for the time being are indispensable to his development. Every man is where he is by law of his being. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him there. And in the arrangement of his life, there is no element of chance. So chance, you unasemanga, it just happened.
Or by luck, by sheer.
So this book is just teaching us that. So let's continue reading and we'll see how this solidifies. So, but all is the result of a law which cannot err, doesn't have an error. Yeah. So this is just as true as those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings as of those who are contented with them. So if you're out of harmony with the surrounding, if in some way thought about it before. So, and if you're in harmony with it, same case. Yeah. So as the progressive and evolving being, man is where he is, that he may learn, that he may grow, and as he learns the spiritual lesson which any circumstance contains for him, it passes away and gives place to other circumstances. So every circumstance has a spiritual lesson. That's what it's saying here. So man is buffeted by circumstances, so long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside conditions. So buffeted probably means he's knocked around, by circumstances. So if you believe that you are the creature of outside conditions, but when he realizes that he is a creative power and that he may command the hidden soil and seeds of his being, out of which circumstances grow, he then becomes the rightful master of himself. So first you must acknowledge that you are the rightful master of yourself. So the circumstances grow out of thought. Every man knows who has the circumstances grow out of thought. Every man knows who has for any length of time practiced self-control and self-purification, for he will have noticed that the alteration of his circumstances has been in exact ratio with his altered mental condition. So true is this, that when a man honestly applies himself to remedy the defects in his character and makes swift marked progress, he passes rapidly through succession of vicissitudes. So this is being change of circumstances. So when you make swift and marked progress in your character, you will get a change in circumstances. So you have control over that. So I don't know if there's anything people are talking out there.
I can see Mcharo. Thank you so much, Mcharo, for joining. The wise King Solomon says in Proverbs 19:3, man's folly ruins his life, yet his heart rages against the Lord. It never helps to blame anyone. Take responsibility. Yes. Thank you so much. I think that is one of the greatest lesson and that we need to acknowledge, because very many people want to take action without circumstance. I think your action will honestly come with consequences.
Yes.
And those consequences, you need to be aware that in each and every action that you take, there are consequences. And just reminding yourself that we have power to influence and shape our circumstances through our thoughts. You know, and if our thoughts are our actions, then we act towards, you know, shaping the kind of circumstance we want and we want to experience. Yeah. And I think just being at that point requires a lot or a higher level of self-awareness. Luckily, I was able to read a book called Emotional Intelligence, and it really digs deep into self-awareness and being honest with self, to understand self, to be at a point and say, you know, these are my thoughts, and these are the things I need to change. You know, and that requires a lot of kujiangalia, and being honest with yourself to say, you know, I need to take this path, I need to progress this way, and therefore it will be able to, you know, create the environment that I want to be in, or, you know, remove me from a victim mentality and accepting how things are and working to improve that. I
think probably you guys can let us know, do you believe in this? Because I think this is usually one of the very first stages of maturity, that wherever you are, whatever is going on in your life, it is a result of who you are and what you think and what you have decided to do. Like it is an acknowledgement that you should take responsibility of your current circumstances. So do you believe that? Do you believe that your current circumstances are as a result of your thoughts?
I think, thank you, Mcharo, for bringing this up, because deeper into the book, if you've read, you know, chapter 2, slightly ahead, we'll be able to go through that. They talk of, James talks of a man a poor man who is not a hardworking person, so he's not doing his best, but keeps complaining simply because, you know, my employee is not paying me well. You know, just the situation that he's around is not, you know, is not satisfying and all that. And unfortunately, he just needed to improve his work. He just needed to do better and actually get a chance to, you know, even get a pay raise. And I think that's, you know, just acknowledging and taking responsibility.
Yes. Probably Mcharo and Timmy and also Isaac, let us know, do you believe that your current situation is as a result of yourself? Do you take responsibility for your current circumstance? So as I continue to read, so the soul attracts that which it secretly harbors, that which it loves, and also that which it fears. It reaches the height of its cherished aspirations. It falls to the level of its unchastened desires, and circumstances are the means by which the soul receives its own. Every thought seed sown or allowed to fall in the mind and to take root there produces its own, blossoming sooner or later into action and bearing its own fruitage of opportunity and circumstances. Good thoughts bear good fruit, bad thoughts, bad fruit. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
Yeah. So the outer world of circumstance shapes itself into the inner world of thought, and both pleasant and unpleasant external conditions are factors which make for the ultimate good of the individual. As the reaper of his own harvest, man learns both by suffering and bliss. So I think for me, something that really stands out as we continue reading is the learning bit, the learning from suffering. So let me just go on. So following the inmost desires, aspirations, thoughts by which he allows himself to be dominated, pursuing the will-o'-the-wisp of impure imagining, or steadfastly walking the highway of strong and high endeavor, a man at last arrives at their fruition and fulfillment in the outer condition of his life. So the will-o'-the-wisp, I just looked it up as I was reading it myself. It's basically, it's like a following a ghost or just a desire, or some people call it autopilot. You think you want this, so you just go with the wind. So if you choose to do that, or you steadfastly walk the highway of strong and high endeavor, you will at last arrive at the fruition and fulfillment in the condition of your life. So the laws of growth and adjustment everywhere obtain. Where was I?
Aman does not.
Where was I to read up to? Oh, it was in the next.
Yeah,
okay,
so
would you want to continue?
Yeah, I can continue.
yeah.
So please keep sharing your comments
Yes,
as we
yes.
read. A man does not come to the almshouse or the jail by tyranny of fate or circumstance, but by the pathway of groveling thoughts and base desires. Nor does a pure-minded man fall suddenly into crime by stress of any mere external force. The criminal thought had long been secretly fostered in the heart, and the hour of opportunity revealed its gathered power. And that's where you need to, okay, I think very many people, you know, would blame a certain situation for their action. You know, I was niliona hiyo thawa hapo chini ndio maana niliokota. Deep down there was that thought. And it's just that a situation presented itself that reveals who you are.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So circumstance does not make the man; it reveals him to himself. No such conditions can exist as descending into vice and its attendant sufferings apart from vicious inclinations, or ascending into virtue and its pure happiness without the continued cultivation of virtuous aspirations. And man, therefore, as the Lord and Master of thought, is the maker of himself, the shaper and author of the environment. Even at birth, the soul comes to its own, and through every step of its earthly pilgrimage, it attracts those combinations of conditions which reveal itself, which are the reflections of its own purity and impurity, its strengths and its weakness. And therefore, I think just this encourages us to garden our mind. I think that we said it's earlier. Garden your mind. Do away with bad thoughts and cultivate, you know, good
Plant
thoughts.
good seeds.
Plant good
Yes,
seeds.
yes.
Yeah. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. Their whims, fancies, and ambitions are thwarted, that, you know, prevent or oppose at every step, but their inmost thoughts and desires are fed with their own food, be it foul or clean. The divinity that shapes our ends is in ourselves. It's our very self. It is our very self. Man is manacled.
So this is basically like cuffed.
Yeah.
You are cuffed by yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
only by himself. Thought and action are the jailers of fate. They imprison being base. They are also the angels of freedom. They liberate being noble. Not what he wishes and prays for does a man get, but what he justly earns. His wishes and prayers are only gratified and answered when they harmonize with his thoughts and actions. So harmonize your thoughts and actions. I think when I was reading this, so you get what you earn justly, and this can be achieved when thoughts and actions are harmonized. Focus on improving yourself, then this will influence circumstance. So in the light of this truth, what then is the meaning of fighting against circumstance? It means that a man is continually revolting against an effect while all the time he's nourishing and preserving its cause in his heart.
Yeah, I think I can give a comment there.
Yeah.
We find ourselves trying to solve a situation. Yeah,
yes.
and not trying to solve the root cause for it. So I think this is what this small paragraph is trying to say. So let me just reread it. In light of this truth, yeah, like when you acknowledge this, when you know this, then is the meaning of fighting against circumstances. It means fighting against circumstances, like trying to sort out a situation. So it means that a man continually revolting against the effect of something, the ripple effect of something, yeah. While all the time you're just trying to nourish and preserve whatever is causing that thing.
Yes.
So I think in whatever situation, what this paragraph is trying to tell us, in whatever situation we are in, we ought to sort out the root cause.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than the ripple effect of it.
And I think just defining the root cause defines your role in the situation, because there is no situation that just happens. There is a part of you that needed to play, and maybe the ball was dropped at that point.
Yes.
So by the time you're defining the root cause, then you'll be able to understand yourself and define what role was I meant to play. How can I improve my role in the situation?
Yes. Oh, let me just read some comments that are coming in. Thank you so much for watching in live, and I'm glad some of you are already commenting and all that. I can see Anne, Mufasa, and Timmy. Thank you so much for being here with us. So Anne is mentioning, many at times we blame our circumstances for our issues. However, circumstance does not make the man. It reveals himself to himself. Yeah, I think that is apart from the book itself. Thoughts are your actions. They define your habit, hence your circumstance. So I think just it's continuing to sink in that we are a result of our thoughts. Yeah. Mufasa says, he loves this bit that says, men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. Very true. Very true. Yeah, this is the part where you now need to acknowledge that you are in charge of your circumstance. So you're willing to improve your circumstance, but you don't want to improve yourself. Yeah, so that is where it ought to begin at. Yeah. You can read what Timmy is mentioning here.
So I agree with James that all things that happen to us happen because of us. But really, it's not every single thing. There are things that we have no or little control over. But James says that we can change the course of things by changing our thoughts and attitudes towards a specific thing. Not what he wishes and prays for does a man get, but what he justly earns. His wishes and prayers are only gratified and answered when they harmonize with his thoughts and actions. That's a part in the book. And that's very true. I think, unfortunately, we are always very quick to judge a situation and just think, there's nothing I could have done. But if you're able to just sit and understand the situation and understand where does the line crosses, where is your circle of influence, where is your circle of concern? Because intentionally you want to expand your circle of influence, the things that you can directly control. And so even unfortunately when there are certain situations that you cannot control, how can you look at them from a point of even learning and trying to change your mindset and trying to change the way you're looking at it and looking for a solution and the root cause. Yes.
Here's one last thing.
I can see Timmy saying, from the above quote explains why Africans hardly find success, despite the fact that we are so
prayerful. Wow, brutal facts. Brutal facts.
I don't know if anyone has something to say about that. I think riding on hope or chance could be the problem, as in just expecting, it will happen. Or, being hopeful without action, being hopeful without the right thoughts that would influence the actions that would enable the situation to be better. I can continue reading. That cause may take the form of a conscious vice or unconscious weakness, but whatever it is, it stubbornly retards the efforts of its possessor and thus calls aloud for remedy. Men are anxious to improve their circumstance, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. The man who does not shrink from self-crucifixion, victim mindset, can never fail to accomplish the object upon which his heart is set. This is as true of earthly as of heavenly things. Even the man whose sole object is to acquire wealth must be prepared to make great personal sacrifices before he can accomplish his object. And how much more so he would realize a strong and well-poised life. And so if you're looking towards financial independence, there's a lot that requires a lot of sacrifice, a lot of mind shift change, and so you need to go through that process for you to be able to achieve what you really desire. Here is a man who is wretchedly poor. This is the example I was giving. He is extremely anxious that his surroundings and home comforts should be improved, yet all the time he shirks in his work and considers he is justified in trying to trying to deceive his employer on the ground of the insufficiency of his wages. Such a man does not understand the simplest rudiments of those principles which are the basis of true prosperity, and is not only totally unfitted to rise out of his wretchedness, but is actually attracting to himself a still deeper wretchedness by dwelling in and acting out indolent, deceptive, and unmanly thoughts. Here is a rich man who is the victim of a painful and persistent disease as the result of gluttony. He is willing to give large sums of money to get rid of it, but he will not sacrifice his gluttonous desires. He wants to gratify his taste for rich and unnatural viands and have his health as well. Such a man is totally unfit to have health because he has not yet learned from the first principles of a healthy life. So you want to sacrifice half the things and still stick with what.
I think that also is a real real representation of our of the actual case scenario in our lives.
Yeah.
You'd find you want they call it the soft life. But you cannot you don't want the side effects of it. You eat he's mentioning unnatural foods.
Yes.
And still have your health.
Yeah, so you can't. So these are the things, because sometimes we want to pick an action and pick only the good side of it.
And not the repercussions.
Take both.
If you're taking an action,
yes.
you'd rather take
Yes.
the repercussions of it as well. Yeah.
I can see really time has gone and we still have a long way to go. I think we can just
What do you
discuss a
think?
few pointers, just a recap of what we've done today. We've shared the book, we've shared the link on all our social media handles. We'll
Yes,
also
yes.
share the book itself on WhatsApp and Telegram.
Or what do you guys think? Should we go on till the end of the chapter, or should we close it at 7? Or just please let us know.
Yes. I can see Antaro, good thoughts equal good actions, good actions, good habits, good habits, desired circumstance. The reverse is also true. So bad thoughts, bad actions, bad habits. And it's good. Habits, we talked about habits in one of the sessions we did.
Yes.
It's a big part of this, even this financial independence journey. Be a master of your destiny by being a master of your thoughts. This will drive your circumstances. Thank you so much, Anne.
I think whatever I'm learning with this first bit that you're reading is it's continuing to sink in.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's going to solidify and crystallize in our heads that whatever circumstance we are in, we can never blame it to any other thing or any other person rather than ourselves.
Yes. I can see Mufasa. Thank you for sharing. Things happen for you, not to you. When you realize this fact, you start seeing opportunities in the darkest of times. That's very true. I remember there was a time we were having a discussion with Emily, and she was sharing an experience she had on the road. You know the way you can get, what are they called? Watu tu wale wako raundi kwa barabara, and sometimes you might be very angry and you're just wondering, why are you behaving this way? But her lesson, and what she was trying to share, is how can you get a lesson out of that negative, that circumstance or that negative action someone has acted upon towards you. So even in dark times, how can you see it from a point of learning?
Yes.
I can see Timmy and Kevin, they're saying they suggest we just continue.
Yeah, then let's go on. Let's go on.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, you can read.
Yeah, just hold that for me. Just a minute. So where had you?
Here
where have we
is
gotten
an
to?
employer. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just go on. Thank you so much. Please let us know what you're learning here and how this is solidifying in your life. And I hope as you continue reading, most of us this concept or this principle continues to crystallize in our heads that we are we are in control and we are the shapers of our character and circumstances as well.
Yeah.
So here's an employer. These are just example now of how thought guides our becomes a ripple effect or affects our circumstances and our character. So here's another example. So here's an employer of labor who adopts crooked measures to avoid paying the regulation wage, and in the hope of making larger profits, reduces the wages of his work people. Such a man is altogether unfitted for prosperity, and when he finds himself bankrupt, both as regards reputation and riches, he blames circumstances, not knowing that he is the sole author of his condition. So I think that clearly states out how thought brings us to our circumstances. So I have introduced these 3 cases. This is now James saying, I have introduced these 3 cases merely as an illustrative of the truth that man is the cause, though nearly always unconsciously, of his circumstances, and that whilst aiming at a good end, he is continually frustrating his accomplishment by encouraging thoughts and desires which cannot possibly harmonize with that end. Such cases could be multiplied and varied almost indefinitely, but this is not necessary, as the reader can, if he so resolves, trace the action of the laws of thought in his own mind and life, and until this is done, mere external facts cannot serve as ground for reasoning. So until you understand or trace the action of your thoughts in your own mind and life, you cannot blame things on facts that are outside your circle of control. So circumstances, however, are so complicated. Thought is so deeply rooted, and the conditions of happiness vary so vastly with individuals that a man's entire soul conditions, now this was another disclaimer, although it may be known to himself, cannot be judged by another from the external aspect of his life. So you cannot judge a man by what you see, literally. That's what he's trying to say. So a man may be honest in certain directions, yet suffer privations. A man may be dishonest in certain directions, yet acquire wealth. But in the conclusion usually formed that one man fails because of his particular honesty, and that other prosper because of his particular dishonesty, is the result of a superficial judgment, which assumes that a dishonest man is almost totally corrupt and an honest man is entirely virtuous, which I think is
it's the assumption, but
it's an assumption, but it's not totally true. So I think this also just solidifies that you can't judge somebody by what he is. He might be making very many honest decisions, but if he has dishonest thoughts, they will also come to life, and you will see them as well. Yes. So where is it? So in the light of a deeper knowledge and wider experience, such judgment is found to be erroneous. Can't judge like that. The dishonest man may have some admirable virtues which the other does not possess, and also the honest and obnoxious vices which are absent in the other. The honest man reaps the good results of his honest thoughts and acts. He also brings upon himself the sufferings of which his vices produce. The dishonest man likewise garners his own suffering and happiness. It is pleasing to human vanity to believe that one suffers because of one's virtues, but until a man has extirpated every sickly, bitter, and impure thought from his mind, and washed every sinful stain from his soul, can he be in a position to know and declare that his suffering are the result of his good and not his bad qualities. And on the way to that supreme perfection, he will have found working in his mind and life the great law which is absolute, just, and which cannot give good for evil, evil for good. Possessed of such knowledge, when you know this, he will then know, looking back upon his past ignorance and blindness, that his life is and always was justly ordered, and that all his past experiences, good and bad, were equitable outworking of his evolving yet unevolved self. Yeah, so I think just solidifying and crystallizing this fact that we are the makers of who we are. Yes. And I think if you came here not knowing that, I think as we continue reading, this should be crystal clear in your head. Yes. So good thoughts and actions can never produce bad results. Yeah, bad thoughts and actions can never produce good results. But saying that nothing can come from corn, but corn, nothing from nettles but nettles. Men understand this law in the natural world and work with it, but few understand it in the mental and moral world. Though its operation there is just simple and undeviating, and they, therefore, do not cooperate with it. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction. It is an indication that the individual is out of harmony with himself, with the law of his being, and soul and supreme use of suffering is to purify. I think this as I was reading this was a great paradigm shift for me. Yeah. The soul and supreme use of suffering is to purify, to burn out all that is useless and impure. So as you suffer, as you're going through tough situation, I think this is the point to trace back. Yes. Where did this all begin from? Yeah, but, where did this all start? Yeah.
But I think you need to be very intentional to want to learn, because unfortunately, situations will be different for different people, and solutions will also come differently. And there are people who will just, utatoka tu, windfall gain, umetoka. So how do you train yourself to be very intentional to learn from each situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there could be not objects in burning gold after the dross had been removed, and a perfectly pure and enlightened being could not suffer. So the circumstance which a man encounters with suffering are the result of his own mental harmony. The circumstances which man encounters the blessedness are the result of his own mental harmony. Blessedness, not material possession. I think he's just trying to separate what blessedness and material possessions are. So blessedness, not material possessions, is the measure of right thought. Wretchedness, not lack of material possessions, is the measure of wrong thought. A man may be cursed and rich. He may be blessed and poor. Blessedness and riches are only joined together when the riches are rightly and wisely used. And the poor man only descends into wretchedness when he regards his lot or his situation as a burden unjustly imposed to him. Yeah. So I think you can read the last page.
Indigence and indulgence are the two extremes of wretchedness. They are both equally unnatural and the result of mental disorder. A man is not rightly conditioned until he is happy, healthy, and prosperous being. Happiness and health and prosperity are the result of a harmonious adjustment of inner with the outer of the man with his surroundings. So your actions and thoughts need to be harmonized. A man only begins to be a man when he ceases to whine and revile and commences to search for the hidden justice which regulates his life. So you're not being a victim every time. You actually try to understand the root cause. And as he adapts his mind to the regulating factor, he ceases to accuse others as the cause of his condition and builds himself up in strong and noble thoughts. Ceases to kick against circumstances, but begins to use them as aids to his more rapid progress and as a means of discovering the hidden powers and possibilities within himself. Law, not confusion, is the dominating principle in the universe. Justice, not injustice, is the soul and substance of life. And righteousness, not corruption, is the molding and moving force in the spiritual government of the world. This being so, man has but to right himself to find that the universe is right, and during the process of putting himself right, he will find that as he alters his thoughts towards things and other people, things and other people will alter towards him. So the way you look at things is the way you'll just receive them back.
If you alter that, those things will alter as well.
Yes. So if you look at every situation as a profit or, a point of learning, or if you look at every person you interact with as someone to, enable you progress and improve your thoughts and actions, then you get that as a result. Yeah. The proof of this truth is in every person, and it therefore admits of easy investigation by systematic introspection and self-analysis. Let a man radically alter his thoughts, and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. Men imagine that thought can be kept secret, but it cannot. It rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. Bestial thoughts crystallize into habits of drunkenness and sensuality, which solidify into circumstances of destruction and disease. Impure thoughts of every kind crystallizes into enervating and confusing habits, which solidify into distracting and adverse circumstances. Thoughts of fear, doubt, and indecision crystallize into weak, unmanly, and irresolute habits, which solidify into circumstances of failure, indigenous and slavish dependence. Lazy thoughts crystallize into habits of uncleanliness and dishonesty, which solidify into circumstance of fullness and beggary. Hateful and condemnatory thoughts crystallize into habits of accusation and violence, which solidify into circumstance of injury and persecution. Selfish thoughts of all kinds crystallizes into habits of self-seeking, which solidify into circumstances more or less distressing. So ideally, whatever we think through crystallize into a habit which gives you the circumstance. Yeah. On the other hand, beautiful thoughts of all kinds crystallize into habits of grace and kindliness, which solidify into genial and sunny circumstances. Pure thoughts crystallize into habits of temperance and self-control, which solidify into circumstance of repose and peace. Thoughts of courage, self-reliance, and decision crystallize into manly habits, which solidify into circumstances of success, plenty, and freedom. Energetic thoughts crystallize into habits of cleanliness and industry, which solidify into circumstances of pleasantness. Gentle and forgiving thoughts crystallize into habits of gentleness, which solidify into protective and preservative circumstances. Loving and unselfish thoughts crystallize into habits of self-forgetfulness for others, which solidify into circumstances of sure and abiding prosperity and true riches. A particular train of thought persisted in, be it good or bad, cannot fail to produce its results on the character and circumstance. A man cannot directly choose his circumstance, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly yet surely shape his circumstance. Nature helps every man to gratification of the thoughts which he most encourages, and opportunities are presented which will most speedily bring to the surface both the good and the evil thoughts. Let a man cease from his sinful thoughts, and all the world will soften towards him and be ready to help him. Let him put away his weakly and sickly thoughts, and lo, opportunities will spring up on every hand to aid his strong resolves. Let him encourage good thoughts, and no hard fate shall bind him down to wretchedness and shame. The world is your kaleidoscope, and the varying combination of colors, which at every succeeding moment it presents to you, are exquisitely adjusted pictures of your ever-moving thoughts.
I think with that last bit, I don't know if Ted is still there. If you're still there, you can probably read for us the last bit that he's of this chapter. Yeah. But before he joins us, I think you can read the comments that are there.
Yes, I can see a few comments coming in. Timmy is saying good thoughts and actions can never produce bad results. Bad thoughts and actions can never produce good results. Suffering ceases for him who is pure. A man cannot directly choose his circumstance, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly yet surely shape his circumstance. Thank you so much, Timmy. That was part of what we've read in the book. I can see on Facebook, Chari is watching. Thank you so much, Chari. Karibu sana. I hope you have been able to learn something.
I think something that actually stood out for me, looks like the summary of this is, I think the second last paragraph from where we've just read. Suffering is always the effect of wrong thought in some direction.
Yeah.
It is an indication that the individual is out of harmony with himself, with the law of his being. So if you're out of harmony with yourself, usually you'll be suffered.
Yeah.
So I think that acknowledgement is very key. And the sole and supreme use of suffering is to purify, to burn all that is useless and impure. Yeah. So I think while we're facing hard or tough decisions or circumstances, I think the best thing to do is usually to just track back and see where all this began from. And first, don't blame any other thing else. So if it got to, I think these are usually brutal facts. If we got to Corona, your business was hurt, or blame it on yourself. Your business was hurt, or something of that sort happened. During the Corona period. How can you ensure that doesn't happen again? By putting in the good actions. That will take you there. So I don't know if Ted is there. He can read for us the last bit.
Yeah, he's there.
Okay.
Hello.
Please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so closing this second chapter, we have a poem. I think these are probably one of the things that can be immortalized in one way or another. This will be something very, very good to be waking up to every single morning, and the last thing you'll be seeing before you sleep, because it really resets your mind back to the chief goal of the book. So it goes, so you will what you will to be. Let failure find its false content in that poor word environment, but spirit scorns it and is free. It masters time, it conquers space. It cows that boastful trickster chance, and bids the tyrant circumstance, and crown and fill a servant's place. The human will, that force unseen, the offspring of a deathless soul, can hew a way to any goal, though walls of granite intervene, but not impatient in delays, but wait as one who understands. When spirit rises and commands, the gods are ready to obey.
Are ready to obey. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Probably you can give us your last sentiments, Ted, as we close.
Yeah.
I think for me, what these two chapters have sort of come full circle because they just try to explain in detail that all that someone may be reasoning out to be the reason why they are not where they wish to be, or where they're not where they are, is because of a certain circumstance, bad luck, chance. Just this can be seen as just sort of excuses in the long run, because ideally all this, you are ideally supposed to be able to overcome them if your will and your mind is set to a certain task. These are just steps to the next level. They are not stumbling blocks. They will just propel you to being your better self. So any challenge that you may be finding, any circumstances that you may be finding as you're on your journey to wherever you're going, whether it's fire, whether it's a good life for yourself, whether it's having a family and all that, any challenge and any circumstance that you will be finding are just preparing you for the end goal that you wish to achieve.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in closing, I think your mind is king. Once you set your mind to something, nothing can stop it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True. You have some
So
closing
thank you
remarks
so
from
much,
you?
Ted. I think being able to understand you have power to influence your circumstance, take responsibility, garden your mind, cultivate good thoughts, and therefore have proper actions, and actions lead to proper habits that eventually lead to your desired goal. Yeah. So if it's financial independence, cultivate your mind towards that. Let your thoughts think financial independence. Let your thoughts think who am I surrounding myself with? What actions am I taking, and how are they enabling my financial independence journey?
Yeah. I think for me, I had read the book before, but I think reading it again helps me just crystallize this thing and also prepare for the future. Because you see, whatever seeds I put in my head right now are what my future will be.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it just reminds me that if I want a good future, I should start designing it here and right now. Yeah. So I also want to get feedback from you guys. How did you like today's session?
Yes.
Was it better? Yeah. Do we continue with the book in our next session? And I hope you did learn from today's session. Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you like today's session?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see a few comments coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who's been very active and just sharing parts of the book that are being captured in the reading we've done today. For those who are just joining, we have shared the link of the book and also the link of the Telegram group. So please, join the Fire Tribe group. It will help you just get all these copies earlier on before the session, at least to be able to read through. I can see Timmy was just reiterating what we have said. A man cannot directly choose his circumstance, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly yet surely shape his circumstances. So I can see Kevin again is asking who is the persona, and Timmy just go back. Match your prayers with thoughts with action. This way you cannot miss to succeed. I can see Charo saying, reading such a book is bold. It's easy to be motivated, yet more profitable to understand reality beneath the visible. Thank you so much, Charo. And I hope, just having you even in one of these sessions to share your life story would help us just see, this is the motivational talk, and this is the reality of things.
Reality
beneath. And these are the things you have gone through And at what point did you feel you need to go back and just understand what is the root cause? Am I really being a victim in a situation or something like that? I can say, Antaro, you'll be what you will be, you will to be. Be not impatient in delay. This is my greatest takeaway. Thank you so much, Anne. I can see Mufasa saying, fantastic session, very informative.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I can see we are sharing the links for the Telegram book, the Telegram group and the book.
The book, yeah.
Please check that out. Of course, you can reread. Join the group. Let's share our views there. And also, let's share. Do you want us to go on this way? Are you happy with this? What have you learned? What is your greatest takeaway? And yeah, what are you expecting?
Yeah, last on Facebook here is saying thank you so much. This was this session was the best of all. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. And thank you so much for joining in with us throughout the whole session. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been an hour plus, and we've been with you guys from Anne to Mufasa to Timmy and Kevin
Charo.
and Isaac. Thank you so much,
everyone.
and also Charo for being with us through the whole session.
Yes.
I hope you guys were able to get something out of this.
Yes.
And let us know how to make this session better and more informative. If it already is informative, please invite somebody next time, and join the group so that you can know what's going to be there next time. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us throughout the whole session. Yeah.
Even as we think of giving feedback, please remember our purpose is to accelerate your financial independence journey. Let us know if you've started impacting your financial independence journey. We don't want to leave anyone behind.
Yes.
And please, let's take the responsibility to grow the Fire Tribe. I think before we end, I think I would still want to congratulate all mothers out there. And SAVO being a mother, SAVO is a mother.
We will define the brand as a mother to everyone who follows it, I'd say.
And I think when you're looking at now a mother is a teacher. If you're already on this journey, or if you have, you've already even achieved your financial independence journey, please take the responsibility to teach.
Yes.
Let's share, let's learn from each other. Let's take advantage of this platform to change the mindset of Kenyans. Yes.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Charo. Thank you, Mufasa, and Timmy, Isaac, Kevin, Last Uka on Facebook. I think it has been quite an engaging session.
Yes.
We hope to see you guys next week. Please invite somebody as well. Hope all of you are in the group from Mufasa and Anne as well. So thank you so much for today. See you next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Oh.